Hey guys out there, Facebook, YouTube, and I hope Twitter. I've been having some trouble getting my Twitter going. Let me see. I might check my levels here. I think I'm pretty good. So yeah. Hi guys, Jay Cherry here. Nice to see you out in Cyberland. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to share with you about masks. So, you know, the highest paid federal employee in the country, he's paid more than the president. I'm going to pull this graphic up. I was talking about this yesterday. I'm going to pull this up. Hold on a second while I pull this up. So, because you can't make this stuff up, right? So Dr. Fauci said that he thinks it's common sense to wear 2 masks. And he's thinking that, you know, the CDC is going to recommend wearing 2 masks. Let me show you guys this here. So just to put things into perspective, and hopefully I'm not breaking up on you. I'm not having any internet troubles here. Let me pull up and see how my internet is looking. Something was going wacky. I think I'm still pretty good. But so here's Dr. Fauci. Check this out, guys, because you can't make it up, right? He makes, I'm sorry that my screen is moving. I'm just trying to blow that up so you could see. He makes more money than the president. The president makes $400,000 a year plus a $50,000 anonymity thing that they get. And also, too, here, let's take a look at the president's. Let's go over here real quick. So what the president makes, and it's just interesting, you know, it doesn't have to do with masking, but I just think that it's interesting that Fauci is making more than the president does. Now, again, presidents get a lot of perks. I wonder what this all means, how they got, you know, $1 million, what these payments are here underneath. Well, he got one payment, Jimmy Carter, and then it looks like in 2018, Bill Clinton got like $1 million. I don't know why. Anyway, I don't want to go off topic here, but Dr. Fauci makes more than a president. See here, the president's salary is $400,000 a year plus a $50,000 expense account and blah, blah, blah. So the president does pretty well, but Fauci does better. So Dr. Fauci is the premier health expert, and he is dictating what our lives are like here in the United States right now. He has total control of what's happening, what we're doing here in the United States when it comes to how you're moving about, whether there's going to be vaccine passports, and whether you're going to have to wear 2 masks or not. So here he is, Dr. Fauci, who was appointed to NIAID in 1984, which I think is really kind of interesting. How is 1984? You get that connection there? 1984? You know, do you feel like you're living in a 1984 novel right now? Because I know I sure feel like I'm living in a 1984 novel right now, and I cannot believe the arguments that I have with people today about wearing a mask. Like, you would think it's just a simple thing. A simple thing. We all need oxygen to live on the earth. We've been living on earth, human beings, well, you know, millennia. So we all need this fundamental thing called oxygen to breathe. And no other mammal anywhere has ever put anything on their face to block breathing. Human beings come around and think, wow, I need to put something on my face to block breathing. You ever try to put something on a dog's face? I did this experiment a while back where my dog wears a bandana. I put it on my dog's face for like 2 minutes. He hated it. It changes his whole disposition, his whole personality. As soon as you cover the dog's face, just the mouth and the muzzle of the dog changes their whole demeanor, their whole personality. You know, we are mammals, okay? So we are mammals, and I think that the whole masking thing is just bananas. So let's go on over here. Let me take you guys to the latest. Let me take you to the good stuff first. This is a study out of Germany. Now, it hasn't been officially peer-reviewed. It's been published. It's out there. And it's interesting. So let me pull this up. I'm going to share this with you. This is a study out of Germany. Hold on while I share this screen with you. So this is a study out of Germany. And to be fair, I will state this. So up here in red lettering, I guess you guys can't really see it, but it says this is a preprint, a preliminary version. Let me move this out of the way, of a manuscript that has not completed peer review at a journal. Research Square does not conduct peer review prior to posting preprints. The posting of a preprint on this server should not be interpreted as an endorsement or its validity or suitability for
dissemination at established information, or for guiding clinical practices. Okay, I just wanted to disclose that to be fair, because that ultimately at the end of the day, I just want to know what is the best information. What are we doing here? What is going on? So here, let's pull this up. This is a study on basically, here, let me read you guys the abstract here. So hold on a second, I'm sorry, distracted over here. So here's the abstract. The background: narratives about complaints in children and adolescents caused by wearing masks are accumulating. There is to date no registry for side effects. There is to date also no studies on the masking of children. There's no randomized controlled trials on the masking of children. This was stated in the court case here in Connecticut. There is a lawsuit. That, let me see, is my sound going okay, guys? Can you still hear me? Somebody was saying that the sound was off. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'll see that on the replay. Thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate that, backstage cam on YouTube. I'm not sure, and the sound might be a little bit strange on YouTube. Sometimes things in the recording, but thank you for letting me know that. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay, and the sound is coming through and there's no technical glitches. I won't know that until the replay. Let me know if you can hear or the sound is bad, if there is a problem. So here are the methods that they used. At the university, I can hear okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. At the University of Witten, Herdecke, an online registry has been set up where parents, doctors, and pedagogues and others can enter their observations. On 2010-2020, 363 doctors were asked to make entries and to make parents and teachers aware of the registry. So this is really interesting. By 26/10/2020, the registry had been used by 20,353 people. In this publication, we report the results from the parents who entered data on a total of 25,930 children. The average wearing time of the mask was 270 minutes per day. Wow, I just gotta stop on that for a second. I just can't even imagine wearing a mask for 270 minutes per day. I can't fathom that. I think when people say, oh, just put on a mask, it's just a mask, it's no big deal, they fail to see how would you feel if you're wearing these things an entire day? And in fact, at my children's school, they give the kids mask breaks. I'm like, they're breathing breaks. Okay. they're breathing breaks. They're mask breaks. What are you talking about? This drives me nuts. And the fact that I have two high schoolers who want to be in high school, who want to go to school and are forced to wear this mask, it drives me crazy. And for, the folks out there that sit high on virtue, I have checked my, what did she call it? This lady today, she was saying, had I checked my medical construct? Yes, my medical construct is quite well, actually. Have you checked your medical construct, that you think it's okay for the government to mandate masking of children for hours a day while you sit there in your comfy spot without having to worry about being in school all day with grown children who don't have to do this? So yeah, I'm perfectly fine there. Yes, I am upset that this discussion even has to be had, that my children have to be subjected to this kind of treatment. I myself can avoid wearing the mask because I just don't go to places that force masking, and thankfully live on the edge of the woods and spend a lot of time in the woods with my dogs to stay sane in this insane world. So thank you very much for your wondering of that. Anyway, let me get back to this before I get totally sidetracked. Sometimes it just gets so... People can be so self-righteous and stand on this pedestal in their egg-headedness. I call it egg-headedness because it's somebody unwilling to see the perspective of others while they're screaming at people that they're inclusive and it's all about equality and this, that, and the other thing, and it's the farthest thing from the truth, because if you go against what they say, so that's all fine with you. You want to wrap yourself in bubble wrap or put a mask on your face and wear it for 8 hours a day, then go right ahead, be my guest. Anyway, back to the study.
So here they had 25,930 children with the average time of wearing a mask at 270 minutes per day. Impairments caused by wearing the mask were reported by 68% of parents. That's quite a large percentage of people reporting this. These included irritability, headaches, difficulty concentrating. Let's look at the percentage though. Included irritability, 60%. Headaches, 53%. Difficulty concentrating, 50%. Less happiness, 49%. Reluctance to go to school or kindergarten, 44%. Malaise, 42%. Impaired learning, 38%. And drowsiness or fatigue, 37%. Those are alarming numbers. Now, this is a study that was done out of Germany. And like I said, to be fair, it hasn't been peer-reviewed and all that stuff. They put up a registry. They surveyed a bunch of parents. 25,930 children were surveyed. And this is the results. So let's see. I'm just going to read a little bit more. And you guys can go and check out this study. I got to put this into my show notes, which I will do for you on YouTube and also on Facebook and Twitter. I hope that I'm coming off. I'm having trouble with Periscope, so that's frustrating. I'm talking to Twitter, and Twitter might not even be there right now because of the technical glitch I'm having. Anyway, the world's first registry for recording the effects of wearing masks in children is dedicated to a new research question. The frequency of the registry's use and the spectrum of symptoms registered indicate the importance of the topic and call for representative surveys, randomized controlled studies with various masks, and renewed risk-benefit assessments for the vulnerable group of children. Adults need to collectively reflect the circumstances under which they would be willing to take a residual risk upon themselves in favor of enabling children to have a higher quality of life without having to wear a mask. Okay? This is done. This came out of Germany, so this is brand spanking new. I'm gonna put this in. What I'm gonna do for you guys right now, just to get it in there, I'm just gonna put it in the comments for you now while I'm live. Let me pull this back up for you. So hopefully you guys could see this while I'm here. So this is the study. This is what they studied: 25,000 children. Okay, so how is it that my daughter has to go to school, and most kids to go to school has to wear a mask? And I'm very concerned that they're going to require the children to wear a mask. Here, I'm putting this in the comments in Facebook right now. Here we go. So there's all the links. You can find that study. There's some extra stuff in there that I'm not going to go over. You can peruse that, but you can see the study that I'm talking about. In fact, I will. I'm going to give that on YouTube as well. It's a little trickier for me to do that in real time on YouTube. I promise I will do that as soon as the live is finished. So this study is alarming. It's very alarming, and they're making children wear masks for hours a day. Here, let me take you over to this. Let me take you over to this right now. So I'm going to show you some of the weird hypocrisy and strangeness that's going on right now. So this is the American Academy of Pediatrics. They just came out recently and said, wear face coverings during most sports. And I got another study I'm going to share with you about this. There's a method and a reason to why I am going this way with this. Okay, so the AAP comes out and says this, right? And interestingly enough here, let me see if I can pull you guys up and see if you can read this along with me. I apologize. I can't easily fit it always in my screen and get it big enough. I'm not sure if you guys are able to move me over here up to the top. See if I can get this larger. And I'm going to move. Not able to fit it in. That's as big as I can get it. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so, oops. I can get it bigger, but then it goes off the screen. So here we go. So I'm just going to read this particular part right here because this is interesting, okay? So the AAP interim guidance is based on current evidence and best data at the time of publication. Updates are provided to reflect changes in knowledge about the impact of the disease on children and adolescents for the latest COVID-19. Now, this came out in December, so I'm going to say this is pretty new. I'm just going to leave it here. So the AAP recommends athletes wear cloth face coverings during group training and competition, as well as when they are on the sidelines, in the locker room, and traveling. The coverings have been shown to be well tolerated during exercise and can prevent the spread of COVID-2. The guidance lists several exceptions during which they could become a hazard and should not be worn. Competitive cheerleading, gymnastics, wrestling, and water sports. Oh my God. I'm sorry, guys. I just... Could somebody wake me up because I'm tired of this weird dream? Anyway. So... So, let's see. The face coverings also may not be necessary for outdoor individual sports like golf and tennis. Of course not. Face coverings should be changed immediately if they become saturated with sweat. If an athlete removes a face covering for a break, he or she should remain 6 feet away from other people. Coaches, officials, spectators, volunteers also should be wearing cloth face coverings at all time. Children and teens with symptoms of COVID-19 should not attend practice. Well, duh, that's just basic. Can we just say something here? That's just basic common sense. Like, don't go out when you're sick. That I can agree with. But that's enough of that. This is from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Okay? Okay? So, there's the American Academy of Pediatrics. I'm going to take you here. I'm going to take you on this journey because I got more stuff to share with you. So, here is the WHO, right? So here's the WHO, and in here they have a whole bunch of stuff about masking. And I tell you, it's really, really interesting. You should totally go check out what the WHO's got to say about masking. And it's really pretty interesting and how different the things that are here. And you can search up just about anything. On here, you can watch these little videos. Here, let's watch a little video. How to wear a face mask. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. Can you guys see that? Hold on a second. Let me expand that. Give me 1 second while I do this. Here we go. This is the WHO. Oops, it's not allowing me to expand it. Let's look at the 3-layer ones because I know that's in your view. Let's take a look at this. They're cheesy little videos. Let's just take a look.
Fabric masks should ideally have 3 layers: an outer layer, an inner layer, and a middle layer, which can be an insert or can be another fabric layer. The inner layer, which comes in direct contact with your face, should be a hydrophilic material, meaning it will easily absorb droplets from your exhaled breath. An example of this material is a cotton. It is important to select a light color such as white, which can help determine when it is soiled or wet. A good place to find this is in a woven or knit cotton t-shirt. The middle layer should go into a pocket between the inner and the outer layer like this and should act as a filter. This should ideally be a strip of polypropylene fabric, which is a spun-down, non-woven fabric material. The outermost layer should be a hydrophobic material. This means that the fabric will repel droplets and moisture. This can be made of a synthetic material such as a polyester or a polyester and cotton blend.
I can't take any more of that. So they just go on to say all this stuff about masking, and you can look up anything in here. We can look at children in masks as well. So all you have to do on this website is you can click over here. Now here's an interesting thing, and I'm going to get back to the sports part and some weird oddities here. Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having trouble fitting this completely in my screen so you all can read it along with me, and I apologize for that. So here it is. It's got the whole list of should children wear masks. And now here's something that's interesting, okay? And it's convenient. You click on this little thing, and it gives you what it says. In general, now here in Connecticut, 3-year-olds are mandated to wear masks, okay? So the state of Connecticut, Governor Lamont has mandated that 3-year-old children wear masks. Now this is what the WHO is saying. In general, children aged 5 years and under should not be required to wear masks. This advice is based on the safety and overall interest of the child and the capacity to appropriately use a mask with minimal assistance. There may be local requirements for children age 5 and under to wear masks or specific needs in some settings, such as being physically close to someone who is ill. In these circumstances, if the child wears a mask, a parent or other guardian should be within direct sight and supervise the safe use of the mask. So obviously the WHO is concerned about little kids wearing masks, but our governor here in Connecticut has mandated that 3-year-olds mask up, and they're in masks all day at school. So there's more stuff here. That I want to get to the part with the athletes. Now check this out. Okay, so what did I just show you guys? I'm going to take you back there as soon as I pull this up. So you guys can look this all up. I put my links in there, and I will put those on YouTube as well. Okay, so here we go. Should children wear a mask while playing sports? Let's click on that. Children should not wear a mask when playing sports or doing physical activities, such as running, jumping, or playing on the playground, so it doesn't compromise their breathing. Look over here. What's this? What's this? December 4th, the AAP, face coverings during sports. You must wear them unless it's like swimming or cheerleading, competitive cheerleading and gymnastics. Swimming, gymnastics, and competitive cheerleading they're exempt from this. So I saw a kid with a mask on playing basketball. Climbing rocks. Children climbing at going to a park, those indoor parks where they climb rocks, climbing rocks with masks on. I mean, unbelievable. So let me take you guys back over to the WHO here. So here's the WHO in Whoville. Well, I know that YouTube won't pull this video down because I'm using the WHO's information. Crazy. I've had a strike against me at YouTube, and I was suspended a few weeks back for a week, and I have a strike against me. I could end up losing the whole channel. It's unbelievable, the world we're living in right now. Okay, so when organizing these activities for children, it is important to encourage other critical public health measures, maintaining at least 1 meter distance from others, limiting the number of children playing together, providing access to hand hygiene facilities, encouraging their use. So there you go. That's what the WHO says about masking in sports. Now, I'm not sure what date the WHO put this out. Did they change it? If this is their current website, you can click on this right now. You can go and you can scroll down. I didn't see anything change. In fact, there was this article in July about the WHO. Don't wear a mask while exercising, says WHO. That's kind of funny sentence. I know, headline, isn't it, in a way? Says WHO. Don't wear a mask while exercising. Right? I think that would be a smart thing to do. So check this out. Wuhan man, you guys can see that headline. Let me see if that is legible for you guys, Harry. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So, Wuhan man suffers collapsed lung while running with face mask. This was the New York Post. This was March 15th, 2020. A man in China burst a lung after running for more than 2 miles in the coronavirus epicenter city of Wuhan while wearing a face mask, according to a report. The 26-year-old jogger was rushed to Wuhan Central Hospital, where he underwent major surgery for the collapsed lung after he began having difficulty breathing. Doctors discovered that the man's left lung had compressed by 90%, moving his heart to the right side of his body. Oh my God. A collapsed lung is known as pneumothorax, which occurs when air leaks into the space between the lungs and the chest wall, causing shortness of breath and potentially fatal complications. Health officials believe the man's lung burst because he was wearing a mask while running. You guys can read the rest of that in the links that you could go check that out for yourself. Now I'm going to take you to, there was another study. Let me see. Jump around. So I'm going to take you to this other thing. This This is an athlete's report of ER visits due to mask wearing. So let's take a look at this. So, mask-related medical events, 79% reported when they felt it was hard to breathe. 48 players went to urgent care. 18 players went to the ER. 1 player by ambulance. 1 life flight due to traumatic injury. This was just done. Was this posted today? I think. Okay, yeah, this was just posted a couple days ago. I'm sorry, I'm thinking it's still the 2nd, and it's not the 2nd anymore. We're a couple days from the 2nd. So let me just read this for you guys a little bit. I'm just going to blow this up so hopefully you can see this here. Okay, so a survey completed by student athletes and their parents revealed the harmful effects mask wearing has had on high school sports players' physical and mental health. 74% of students who responded reported experiencing at least one clinically significant symptom from wearing a mask while playing, including loss of consciousness, dizziness, and vomiting. The informational survey was organized by Let Them Play. This is Michigan, I want to say, right? MN is Michigan. Sorry, guys. Can you believe that? I forget my state abbreviations, but I think this might be Michigan. A grassroots organization. I'm sorry, Minnesota. So this is Minnesota, a grassroots organization of parents and kids who are fighting against Governor Tim Walz and the Minnesota State High Schools League's regulations surrounding shortened or eliminated sports seasons, spectator rules, and mask mandates. 2,270 responses were received for the survey regarding athletes' experiences while wearing masks during practice and games. Almost 80% of respondents said it was hard to breathe, and 52% said they experienced increased or excessive fatigue. A total of 48 players reported going to urgent care, and 18 players were taken to the ER by ambulance. One response indicated that a player needed a life flight to the hospital due to a traumatic injury while playing with a mask on. 56% of participants reported visual impairment while wearing a mask, with 35% reporting the effects of reduced vision as unsafe. 59 players disclosed injuries due to reduced peripheral vision. That makes a lot of sense. And I think about that with my son is an avid athlete. He plays all kinds of sports. And I think, how is that? You know, he hasn't been able to play. In Connecticut, they've canceled most of the sports he likes to play. He likes to wrestle. They canceled that. He likes to play football. They canceled that. And they're making the kids who play basketball wear these masks. And I thought, how are you able to play a sport with a mask on your face? How does that affect your vision? Well, there you go. So, 56% of participants reported visual impairment while wearing a mask, with 35% reporting the effects of reduced vision as unsafe. 59 players discussed injuries due to reduced peripheral vision. Mental health is also a concern for many parents and athletes. Another 1,300 responses, or 57%, showed players' mental health was suffering due to sports shutdowns. While 40% said they were super excited to be back out playing, 33% reported that they have thought about dropping out their sport because of the mask rules currently in place. So a section of the survey called Next Level Impacts provides information on students who have lost college athletic scholarships. Wow. 177 and recruitment opportunities, 298, and that's just in the state of Minnesota. So you guys could also check the rest of that out. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I thought that was really interesting. So this was just posted on February 2nd, and I put that in the links. And I think it's really important that we talk about these things, because what is currently happening is we're just saying you have to, if you disagree with somebody, there becomes this major problem about that. And that's really unfortunate that we have to operate in a society where we can't have a conversation about some of the things that are coming out now about masking from kids. We're not making this up. This is real. This is true. This is just crazy. Okay, so let me take you over here.
This is an old story, actually. So a New Jersey driver. Now, interestingly, afterwards, after this story breaks, let me just tell you a brief history if you haven't heard about this. So this lady had an N95 mask on, and she crashed. And when the police found her, she had the mask on, and they reported that they believe that she crashed from wearing a mask. And then it was later reported in another paper that police aren't doctors, so they can't diagnose her. They don't know if there was another problem. They just found her crashed, knocked out from the crash, wearing a mask. So put two and two together that the woman passed out. So here it is. It says Lincoln Park believed that the driver, who was not named, lost consciousness while behind the wheel Thursday from lack of oxygen and breathing in excessive carbon monoxide thanks to the mask, the department wrote on Facebook. The LPPD responded to the lone occupant single car motor vehicle crash yesterday. The crash is believed to have resulted from the driver wearing an N95 mask for several hours and subsequently passing out behind the wheel due to insufficient oxygen. So you can read the rest of this article. And then there is, and I don't know if I put this up in here to share with you. It's in the notes that I posted. But the CDC itself was saying don't be driving with a mask on. So you can look at that in my notes because I don't think I put it in my screen shares, ironically. I don't see it up here. And I don't want to go looking for it during live in real time. But you can go and find it in my notes. So the amount of different kind of contradicting information from the AAP recommending masking during sports to the WHO saying don't mask during sports. The governor mandating that 3-year-olds wear masks, while the WHO is saying that 5-year-olds shouldn't, you have to be 5 and up to wear a mask. Anyone under 5 shouldn't be wearing a mask. So there's a lot of different discrepancies here that don't make any sense. So I've got another thing I want to share with you. So here, so what I also find really interesting about the masking thing is that you're supposed to, when you remove the mask, you're supposed to have clean hands. You're not supposed to touch the mask. You're supposed to discard the mask. So this is a whole article on how you're supposed to, you need to carry 2 masks at all times. Because according to the CDC, this article of Best Life, and this is all about the CDC, right? So according to them, this article here, you should have a couple of masks because, you could get a soiled face. Let's take a look at this video.
Masks are everywhere these days. What used to be a tool for burglars or trick-or-treaters to disguise themselves has now become a necessity. And even a fashion statement. With growing numbers of people infected by COVID-19, masks and social distancing have become the new normal. But could too much mask wearing be a problem? If masks prevent the spread of viruses, couldn't we just keep them on all the time? I mean, I wouldn't have to shave as much, and it really brings out my eyes. Why did San Francisco earn the reputation of the masked city? What kind of masks should we be wearing? And if you never took one off, what would happen to your face? This is What If, and here's what would happen if you never took off your face mask. The CDC, or Centers for Disease Control.
You can check the rest of that video. It's like 7 minutes long. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it just goes into saying that wearing a dirty mask on your face is not a good idea. So let's take a look at this here. So here it says, based on CDC recommendations, you should always have a minimum of 2 masks with you, one that you're wearing and one that you will be carrying as possible replacements. Health experts agree that having a backup mask is a good choice. When sneezing or coughing, it is best to do so in a mask to prevent your droplets from becoming airborne. So have a backup mask on hand to switch them out so you're not wearing a covering that is covered in droplets. You mean snot and sneeze? I'm sorry. Do you know anyone that's carrying 2 masks with them? And I don't know how you sneeze in a mask and think that's going to stop the drop. It's best like old school. Sneeze into your shoulder. Stay home when you're sick. Sneeze over here like this. Wash your hands. Those old school things that we've been living with for forever. Mask gets dirty and wet, and then they don't work, and you can't breathe. And this is all in this article. And basically, I read through the whole thing, and it says this type of stuff. And New York City health and hospitals say that it is always a good idea to have an extra mask with you when you are out in public, as your original mask could get dirty and wet. It talks about disposal of a mask, and they're more likely to get wet during winter. So if the mask is wet, then it's not going to work that well, and it's going to actually has the potential to cause you more problems. So but your mask can become soiled regardless of the weather. According to Marcelo, your mask can become dirty in any number of ways, including accidentally dropping it on the ground, touching it after touching a high-touch surface. So think about kids in school all day. You think about kids in school all day with these masks, okay? My kids will go to school, they take this mask with them, they come home with a different mask. I kid you not. I don't like masks, but my kids are in high school and they want to go to high school, and that's what they have to do. And no matter what I try to do to say, please don't do that, or I don't want it to happen, I can't stop it. The only thing I can do is make these videos and hope that enough people will eventually stand up and say enough is enough. Because that's really what it's going to take, because these things are never going to go away. It's not going to go away. There are all kinds of variants. It's going to keep on coming and coming and coming and coming and never go away. You'll be in a mask for the rest of your life. Now they want 2 masks. Okay, so in any of those instances, your masks may have picked up particles containing the coronavirus and potentially other harmful viruses or bacteria, which, if put near your mouth and nose, can lead to infection. No kidding. No kidding. Basic. If you're replacing your mask, make sure you do so carefully. If your mask has gotten wet or dirty, you need to take it off carefully. When retiring the mask you're wearing and replacing it with a backup, you should take the mask off and place it in a plastic bag or container, Marcelo says. The CDC also has guidelines on safely removing your mask. I see people taking that thing off, pulling it out of their pocket. I see kids touching it, constantly people touching it. I go and, wherever I am, somebody's touching their mask, touching a surface, touching their face. Did you just see this? If your mask has gotten wet or dirty, you need to take it off carefully. When retiring the mask you're wearing and replacing it with a backup, you should take the mask off and place it in a plastic container or bag. How many masks are you seeing thrown on the ground in a parking lot? If you accidentally touch the inside of your mask with unwashed hands, you should not reuse that mask, Woody says. After all, this can give the virus direct access to your mouth and nose. And for more ways to keep yourself healthy, Dr. Fauci says you need one of these at home to avoid COVID. I think this is just an advertisement. What is this? One of what at home to avoid COVID? I don't even know what this is. Let's see. Let's click on this link. We'll go there together. But do you see the craziness of this statement? Like, little kids, how is it that anyone in their right mind thinks that masking of school children is a good idea? I don't understand this, because there are no school children out there following this protocol. It isn't happening, and my high schoolers aren't following this protocol. I'm constantly worried about them, chasing them around, saying, take your vitamin C, take your vitamin D, make sure to eat healthy, get plenty of fluids, having to wear that mask all the time. I'm very concerned about it. So what is this thing that he's saying? Get one of these to help keep you safe at home, and it's no big deal to do? What is it? Under the threat of the coronavirus, home may feel like the only safe haven these days, yet experts point out that even our homes aren't completely safe from COVID-19. Contact tracing programs have revealed that up to 70% of cases are spread within the household between family members and close friends in what is known as living room spread. Doesn't this language sound a bit unnerving to you guys? Because it does to me. Thankfully, there are measures you can take to keep your living room COVID-free. In a recent interview with the nation's top immunologist
Anthony Fauci, MD, endorsed purchasing one product to stop COVID from spreading indoors. He recommended high-efficiency particulate air systems, also known as HEPA filters. Oh, so that's interesting. It's like an advertisement. This is so strange. Anyways, so you guys can find that link to this. It was an advertisement that got me to click on this, but there's a lot of language about what you're doing in your home. And of course, the assistant director of the WHO, Dr. Michael Ryan, had said that maybe they have to come into your home and separate people. You know, these things are being said. And in Canada, in fact, they are separating people. They're taking people out of their homes, and they're not allowing people to go home from international travel. They're putting people up in hotels for 3 days, not putting them up. The person has to pay for it out of their own pocket, and then if you test positive, you have to go to a government facility. So New York State has a bill to quarantine people against their will and receive treatment from these quarantine centers that you also wouldn't want. This is a real bill happening in New York. I should have that pulled up. I believe it's like A416, something to that effect. So now here's just one more thing that I want to share with you guys. This is out of I think you might be able to access this on the link that I sent. Hold on, I'm having a little bit of trouble reaching it. So I highly recommend you sign up for the New England Journal of Medicine. They'll give you so many articles that you can see. Sign up. It'll ask you some questions, and you can sign up. And I find it really interesting because it is constantly sending me emails. Not constantly. It's not a ton of emails, but I'm getting a lot of information, and I think it's just good to stay aware of what's going on. So this is the New England Journal of Medicine. I'm kind of switching over to vaccines at the end of this because it's these mandates that are really a problem, that are very scary, and they're talking about the lessons of measles. It's a really interesting article, and it just goes on to say how people who, back in the day with the measles was considered a benign, normal illness of childhood. And still we have scientists who today argue that. There are scientists saying that the measles helps protect you from heart disease and cancer. And there's so much about viruses that we don't know and understand. We've been living on the earth with viruses and bacteria since we've been living on the earth, guys. This is just part of it. So this just goes into talk about measles and how important it was. And what I found really interesting about this article is it said how great the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine is. And what I want to say about the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine is that Merck, the makers of Vioxx, and I'm going to close on this, Merck, the makers of Vioxx, is being, you can go and you can look up these pharmaceutical companies and you can see all of the different lawsuits and how they've been sued. So Merck, the makers of Vioxx, is being sued for the mumps portion of the MMR vaccine. Why are they being sued for the mumps portion of the MMR vaccine? Because they cooked the science with rabbit blood to make the mumps portion of the MMR seem more efficacious than it actually was. Okay? So they're being sued. They had 2 scientists blow the whistle on this. And there was a lot of activity in the court last year and stuff that it wasn't easily accessible to the public at the time that I was researching it. But the case was ongoing, and they're being sued for cooking the science. And this is like a 10-year-old case. It's been going on for 10 years. Meanwhile, cases of mumps have been cropping up all over the country, especially in college students who are all, by the way, vaccinated with the MMR. Most of them. Not a lot of people are not. Most college students have had the MMR, and mumps was spreading all around. You don't hear about these things right now. We're not hearing about anything else. All we're hearing is COVID, COVID, COVID. In fact, there's no flu. A miracle has happened to the flu from masks, apparently. There's no more flu because people are masking up and social distancing. And there's all this COVID because people are masking up and social distancing. So so many oddities. So many oddities in this crazy world. One last thing, and then I really am going to go. I just want to take you back to here again, because I want you guys, this is the foster children in Harlem, New York. This was a study on children done in the late 90s, the early 2000s, and it was blown wide open by a journalist who covered the story, Liam Sheff. And this is absolutely mind-boggling, because this was done under Anthony Fauci's NIAID. He has been director of NIAID for forever. And so the children were in foster care and were given AZT and AIDS drugs. And there's a film that you guys can look at called Guinea Pig Children. And it's all about these kids that were given the experimental AIDS drugs under Fauci's NIAID, National Institute of Infectious and Allergic Diseases. It's really sad. These children, some of them are severely deformed, some of them died. They were forcibly medicated, even against their own will, being given pumps into their stomach to take medications. There's families there that talked about losing custody of children for stopping the medications because the children weren't feeling well. And when the city of New York found out that the caretakers and the foster parents taking these children in were stopping the medications, the city of New York came in and took those children out of the homes that they were thriving in to put them back in foster care and continue with this medication. One child had such bad deformities because one of the medication created like a fat buildup, like a tumorous fat buildup, where the child had to have these surgeries because he became disfigured from the drugs that they were giving them. And I'd have to say that this is a story that is under discussed. And it is something, I'm going to pull that screen back up. It's hard to like fill it in on the screen and like, let me just read you just like a little paragraph here. The complaint prompts nationwide investigation. Let's take a peek at that. On March 10th, 2004, the Alliance for Human Research Protection, AHRP, filed a complaint with the FDA and the Federal Office of Human Research Protections. The complaint prompted two separate investigations, and AHRP articles in the New York Post and BBC documentary raised the alarm among African American and Latino community in New York, some of whom had already been protesting weekly in front of the ICC. That was the facility that was housing, this was the Incarnation house that these children were at. It was run by the Catholic Church, and all the children that were there were HIV positive mothers, and not all of them were even tested for HIV, and there's a whole bunch of stuff about the AIDS test. It's just like COVID. The AIDS and COVID have so many similarities. It is mind-boggling. So the PCR test is used as well for HIV. Check out Kerry Mullis and what he has to say about the PCR test. So, here we go. The complaint prompted an Associated Press investigation into over 4 dozen studies being conducted, 4 dozen studies, in at least 7 states, in Illinois, Louisiana, Maryland, New York, North Carolina, Colorado, and Texas. The investigation found that 13,878 children had been enrolled in pediatric AIDS studies funded by the government since the late 1980s. Of these, official estimate 5 to 10% were foster children from infants to late teens. According to AHRP, the institutional culture of arrogance is demonstrably in evidence at both medical research centers and government agencies, as evidenced by Marilyn Casaldi, spokeswoman for Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. Our position is that advocates weren't needed. Children are reported to have suffered painful side effects such as rashes, vomiting, sharp drops in infection-fighting blood cells as they tested antiviral drugs to suppress AIDS or other medicines to treat secondary infections. In one study testing the drug Dapsone,
At least 10 children died from a variety of causes, including 4 from blood poisoning, and researchers said they were unable to determine safe, useful dosage. They said the deaths didn't appear to be directly attributable to diazepam, but nonetheless were disturbing. Overall mortality, something in my throat. Overall mortality while receiving the study drug was significantly higher in the daily dapsone group. This finding remains unexplained. I'm going to click on this and see if we can go to the documentary. Just out of curiosity, because I had such a hard time finding it. And it's not taking me to it. It must be a dead link. So I highly recommend that you guys check out the guinea pig children. Here's another one. Let me just finish here. Another study involving oops. Sorry, it did take me there. As soon as I was reading that, and I don't think that particular link is in my notes. I will have to put that out there. I put that in yesterday's notes. But this is the writer, one of the writers, liamchef.com. He's still currently a journalist and has covered lots of stories, and he wrote a ton of stuff about the AIDS epidemic and what was going on with that. Let me see if I could go back to where I was and just finish that sentence. So he had the BBC documentary, and you can check this out and see this for yourself. So let me just finish this last thing, what it said. Another study involving foster children in the 90s treated children with different combinations of adult antiviral drugs. Out of 52 children, 26 had moderate to severe reactions, nearly all infants. Side effects included rash, fever, and a major drop in infection-fighting white blood cell counts. At least 3 states declined to use children in foster care in medical experiments: Tennessee, California, and Wisconsin. See also testimony of Vera Hassner-Sharaf, who I got to meet. She's a really interesting woman. President of AHRP at a hearing of the New York City Assembly Committee on Health and the Committee on Children and Families in September 2005. And I'm going to end it at that, guys. So when you start to look at all of what the government has done, from even things like, you go back to like DDT and things like that, and Johnson & Johnson, their baby powder causes cancer, and they're coming out with a vaccine. Merck's been sued 50 million ways till Sunday. Pfizer has a long list of violations and lawsuits and has paid out. All of these major pharmaceutical companies have paid out billions of dollars. They make patents on these drugs and vaccines, and they make hand over fist in money. Then the government is polluted by industry. So the FDA, the CDC have a revolving door through to industry, and Anthony Fauci has patents himself that he's trying to distance himself from. He stands to make a lot of money from the Moderna shot. That should concern people. So just food for thought, as they're suggesting that we need 2 masks now. 2 masks. 2 masks instead of 1. This is where we are. It's never going to end. It's not going to end until enough of us say we've had enough of Anthony Fauci and these edicts about, if you want to wear a mask, hey, wear a mask. I'm all for your personal space and your right to do what you feel is necessary. You want to get a vaccine, get a vaccine. My advice, read and educate yourself, and just make sure that you know everything you're getting yourself into when it comes to any kind of thing that you put your body to. But I believe people have the right to make their own decisions, take responsibility for those decisions that they make. I do not believe that the government has a right to mandate masking on our children, on ourselves, and now to the potential of requiring 2 masks. 2 masks for the price of 1. You just can't. I'm just like looking for that last thing on there. No, I think I took it off. 2 masks for the price of 1. I mean, here we go. Just a reminder. Anthony Fauci, the highest paid federal employee in the federal government, I'd say has more power even than the president. He sure is making more money than the president, and he sure has a lot of power over our lives. And he's talking about the CDC may, these are his words, may recommend wearing 2 masks. What that says to me is that we are going to get these mandates about wearing 2 masks. And now they're coming out saying that they're, a cloth covering isn't good enough anymore. There's going to end up being a state mandated mask eventually, in my opinion, if this doesn't end. It's not going to end. People say, well, when the pandemic's over, would you get over it? Just do it for now. You're a spreader. You're this, you're that. Look, do you see the writing on the wall? Now there's new variants. Now there's new strains. Now there's not one mask, there's two masks. There was actually a video of a newscaster talking about, well, if you got one mask, and well, that's fine, and two masks, well, that's good, but three masks are even better. Where does it end? Where does it finally end? What point do we finally have where it ends? Where we say that this cannot go on any longer? At what point does that happen? And I think I might have okay, sorry about that, guys. I thought I had lost you. But I just wanted to, I'm going to leave you. Here we go. You know, it's just, it might have frozen up. Can you guys still see me here? Am I frozen? I might have froze up a minute. My machine is going nuts, so I might totally get cut off, which I've been meaning to kind of cut myself off, but I keep going on and on and on because like the information is just so mind-blowing. But I want to share this meme with you before I go. So hold on a second while I pull this up here. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here we go. Sorry about that. I'm having trouble here with my, here we go. let me end with a laugh, because I think we need to be able to laugh, because if we don't laugh, how are we going to get through this? I mean, it's not a time of happiness. It's not a time of happiness. It's a time of real deep darkness. But, you know, sometimes when you take a look at the truth, it's pretty funny. Here. So I'll leave you guys with that, because they are using anal swabs, by the way, in China. It's coming to the United States. Mark my words. It's going to be anal swabs, triple masking, and you can't leave your house without, like, I don't know, a government tracker tracking you. But I'm crazy. I'm the conspiracy theorist, right? I have people like yelling at me, calling me names, picking on me. They won't argue with me about are the facts in front of our face. All they'll do is they'll give me an NPR article or tell me how selfish I am. And then I show them science or studies and try to have a legitimate discourse with these folks. And all they can tell me is that I need to check my medical, you know, my medical makeup. Whatever that means. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave you guys on this meme. Somebody shared that and it made my night, because it was so funny. It's not funny because there are anal swabs, and now they want, and there are triple masks and double masks coming down the pipelines. So stay strong, guys, till we meet again in the ethernets of the world. Question everything. Do your research while you can access the internet, because they're coming for that too. And if we don't all stand up, they're going to take it all away.